morning, everybody. Whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, around the world, this is Coast to Coast. We got everybody in the house. What's happening, guys?
USA. Got to start with that. Obviously, I got up very early in the morning. It would have been even crazier earlier in the morning for you guys to watch it live. But I did a live broadcast. I just now, they just now took it off of YouTube because I showed too much of the television. Yeah, it's like I try to do it. There's like 60% you can show. Once you start to show a little more, then it's too much, So
yeah,
but
copywriting.
I had a feeling that you were going to get nailed on that one.
Yeah, but after the fact, which is even better because there were people watching during the show, and it was 5 minutes behind. So it was like if you were watching the game, like Joe was turning in, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna know who scores before you do, and I'm like, don't tell us, don't tell us. But it was amazing to have. We had a full bar, like I want to say somewhere between 75 and 100 people got up to come to the bar at 7:30 in the morning to watch a hockey game between USA and Canada. And that's what the Olympics are about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
there's nothing better than beating a country that has been accused of cheating, and we go in there and kick that ass. And not only did the men do it, but the women did it to the same country. I don't care how you slice that cake. I don't know in my lifetime, at least that I can remember, that I've ever seen us do that. And that was amazing. I don't care. I know we didn't get the medal winning. I know Norway took that, but I'll take that every day of the week. I don't care. That was awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, out here on the West Coast, right? It was a 5 a.m. start time. So, I did not go to the bar. I watched it on my couch.
I mean, the best part of the men's game yesterday, too, was the guy that scores the game winner has his 2 front teeth knocked out like 10 minutes before that, spits his teeth into his glove, has blood everywhere, goes out and gets stitched up, and then comes back on the ice, and he was actually supposed to get subbed out on a line change, and he's like, no, I got this, doesn't go out on the line change, gets the puck and buries it.
Look, he just lost teeth. If I'm going to lose teeth, I'm going to make it worth it. You're going to let me out here and let me play this game.
Yeah. Well, and his brother was the one that scored the overtime goal in the previous game
against Sweden. Yeah.
By the way, Jack Hughes'
face was rough. That stick to the face is rough.
Yeah,
I'll tell you though, Jack Hughes. I mean, that guy really, really played well. Now, I was a couple of comments that said that they hope that he will play that well for the Boston Bruins, like he did for USA. But what a heck!
Seeing he's a New Jersey Devil,
he's a Devil.
And he won't be playing anything for the Boston Bruins.
But why? Again, I don't know Jack Hughes' professional hockey. That was just what I saw in the comments. So I was just going by what they said. So they were probably inaccurate. But at the end of the day, man, regardless of whatever team he plays for, his performance in USA hockey was amazing. Like really, really good.
Yeah, I cheered him yesterday. I hate him again today because he's a New Jersey Devil.
Same thing with the Tkachuk brothers too, though. Like you'll cheer for them when they're on Team USA, but you hate playing against them because they're going to just annoy the crap out of you when your team's going against them.
You know what I did love most of all is I got to watch Connor McDavid. Not only has he lost 2 Stanley Cups in a row, he now lost the gold as the captain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That makes me happy because I'm not a fan of Connor McDavid. I think that he's a weenie.
I think the best part about everything too was the whole Johnny Gaudreau celebration at the end where they had Gaudreau's jersey where, I don't know if you guys knew this, but he was initially supposed to be the captain of Team USA for this Olympics. So they actually still had the roster spot with his name on it. So they actually technically played one player short. They left his name on the roster for this Olympics, and his sons got his gold medal that he was supposed to get. So his sons were on the ice after the game. They got the gold medal. They got it.
Yeah, I'm not crying. You're crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how that went.
Yeah, it was everything they did for him and his family this week for the Olympics goes to show like what Johnny Gaudreau meant, not only to Team USA, but kind of meant to the NHL as a whole, just because of the
100%.
Johnny Hockey. And it's a shame because I know he would have been a Flyer now. Yeah, like he chose not to go to the New Jersey Devils, even though he was from Jersey, because he grew up as a Flyers fan.
Mhm.
He went to Columbus because he understood that Columbus and the Flyers are trade partners all the time, and that towards the end of his contract, that the Flyers would trade for him. And he should have been a Flyer, except that the GM of the Flyers at that time he deserved to be fired 2 years before he became a GM here.
At least you're not mad about it.
Right?
Oh, I tell you, the Flyers still upset me with the way some of they're doing better now, but some of the decisions that they have made are the reason why they're in the situation they are.
I just want to say your anger management classes are really working. I am so proud of you, Pags. I feel the amount of time you put into this.
I mean, if there was any doubt, if there was any doubt on who the best goaltender in the NHL is, Connor Hellenbuck showed that yesterday. Because Connor Hellenbuck played out of his damn mind yesterday.
Well, let's face it.
Yes.
There were 3 shots on net that Canada missed, straight missed. So
Yes.
I mean, you have to force that. The one that he was able to get the butt end of that stick on that. Talk about luck. Talk about straight luck. I mean, that's
100%.
all you can say that was. It was amazing. He was able to put himself there. He's a monster goalie. I mean,
Right.
6'4", 210 pounds is big anyways. So he takes up a lot of space. But Canada pooped the bed is what they did, because there were 3 times they should have scored. You know, and then you can count that 4th time.
Certainly that one that hit the side of the net. Like
Yeah.
that,
By Nathan McKinnon, too. And Nathan McKinnon is one of the premier goal scorers in the NHL.
no, for
Right.
sure. I'm just saying that was one of the most open shots you could have had really the entire day.
And the funny thing is, he makes that shot in his sleep. 9 out of 10 times he makes that shot in his sleep, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can't hit this shot.
That's my
Yeah.
point. Although, you know, that stop when McDavid got the breakaway was awesome.
Again, he didn't. Connor McDavid didn't do what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like that is like, you're like watching it, and it's like he didn't really get his stick on that puck to do a shot. And
Yeah,
then
he
he
did the
poke
elevation.
checked it away. There were a number of different things. The one thing that I loved watching, first off, this was Game 7 hockey.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup hockey. I love the fact that they go 3-on-3. I thought that USA had to score early in that period, especially because in the second period, you could tell they were puck watching. And they were just, at one point, there was like the Canadian guy has got the puck behind the net, and you have 5 guys surrounding the net watching the guy with the puck. I'm like, that's how goals get scored, because you're too busy watching the puck rather than playing the people. And the USA got lucky to only have 1 goal put against them, and actually that had a lot to do with Connor Hellebuck. You know what I mean? He played out of his mind. He stopped 44 shots.
Yeah, it was a barrage.
I mean, the first period he stops 8 shots, but then after that, it was just like open season out on the last 2.
Oh yeah, the second period they were behind the play the entire time. But I thought that once it went to overtime, that you have young skates. I mean, Team USA is so much younger than Team Canada, and that's where I thought that we would get the benefit. And you could see that, all right, they were going back and forth. As long as they didn't put the puck in the net, we were going to have our opportunity. And it only took once.
It's funny because I thought if it goes to overtime, the U.S. actually has the advantage because of that. Because we're a younger, faster team.
And the funny
And so
thing
I was
is,
like, if we can survive the regular time and get into overtime, I think, I thought we had a real shot. I was really worried that they were going to get that second goal there in the third.
Right.
I mean, you may like 3-on-3 overtime, but John Cooper does not like 3-on-3 overtime. He really kind of lit into the whole playing 3-on-3 hockey isn't hockey. You take 4 players off the ice, it's not hockey. And then you have Nathan McKinnon also being a big crybaby saying, the better team did not win this game. You can watch the game and decide who the better team was. It's like last time I checked the score, you lost 2-1, so I'm pretty sure the better team won.
Yeah.
I mean,
You always want to cry over that spilled milk.
Wah. That's exactly it. This is the reason why I wasn't a big fan of Connor McDavid, because he's a crybaby. This is the reason why Canada is Canada, because they win, and somebody's going to say, oh well, if Sidney Crosby played, they would have won. Well, guess what? He didn't play. Stop crying.
Have they not heard of next man up? Come on, you got professional players for a reason. You gonna tell me you don't have other players that can step in or should step in?
You've got on your team 3 of the best players in hockey today.
Right.
In hockey today. Connor McDavid is supposed to be the best guy playing hockey right now. You know what I mean? And listen,
sometimes
Bennington, and that was a bad goal. Bennington should have stopped that goal, that shot. That was not a great goal to give up.
Especially when you look at the save that he had prior to that on the breakaway, where he slid across and just like snagged it with his glove up and over his head. Like, you make that save, but then you give up the easy one.
Right. Yeah. I really like the aggressive physical style of play that I've seen from America. I want to go back real quick to the Slovakia game before we got to Team Canada and the gold. Slovakia came out real chippy, real aggressive. There's a couple of fights in that first minute or so. And I liked how U.S. didn't let that get to them. They maintained it, and they rose to that challenge. And I like physical style play. And I'm not really much into hockey. I just haven't watched enough. But I love that physical play. And I think now that's kind of making me want to get more into hockey, because I love seeing physical style of play.
Well, go ahead. Good.
I was going to say, that was how Slovakia was going to have any chance against Team USA. They did not have enough people. They had to body. They had to body them. The thing is that they had to start chasing. So, and when you're chasing the check, which is what the Team USA was doing in the second period, they were chasing after the puck, and you can't chase the puck. Like I said, it was Connor Hellebuck that stopped everything that came his way, and Canada screwing up. Like, you won't say screwing up, but just missing the net on like 2 plays specific that did it. I mean, and Bennington played well. Like I said, it was just really the goals, both goals he gave up, because that first goal was amazing on amazing play, getting through 2 defensemen, putting the puck in front of him, and then just going, beating the goalie. That wasn't a good goal to give up either.
No.
Right.
And then that definitely the second one. I mean, that was on the ice. He could have stuck a pad out and maybe gotten it, but it was going side to side is tough. You know what I mean? It's not easy. I know there's reasons why that these guys are great, but to have Canada cry, wah.
Well, you know why they cried, right? Because they didn't get what the women did, where the losing team got a stuffed animal. Whatever that was about.
They were giving out all those stuffed animals. They everybody got a stuffed animal.
Oh, did they also get a stuffed animal?
Yeah.
It was hilarious watching the women getting they just got their silver medals, and now they're handing out these stuffed animals. They're looking at them like,
what the hell is this? What am I doing with this? What am I, 4?
Yeah, you give it to the kids.
Right.
So
that's good. Now, again, this is somebody
you
that
just
doesn't.
lost the biggest game of your life. Here's a stuffy.
Here's a polar bear. Have fun
Right?
with that. Just out of curiosity, and this is just coming from somebody that obviously, like I said, I don't watch as much hockey as I should. I've always thought that the hockey last names were incredibly hard to pronounce, which tells me there's a lot of foreign-born players in hockey. Has it always been like that way? And I don't know what the percentage of foreign-born players to American players is, but I always kind of thought maybe that the foreign would have the more competitive advantage, because it just seems like they have such a bigger presence in hockey. Am I right or wrong on that theory? I don't know.
So no, you're wrong in the thought process that. So there's been a lot more American-born players.
I like that you paused right there. You're wrong in the thought process. Pause.
Yeah. It's just because, I mean, obviously Canada has some of the best players. If Russia fielded a team, you would see Russia in the mix of this too.
Yeah, like
the fact
Ovechkin and some of those guys, like they would
exactly.
Yeah, like they would actually they would have probably it would be for those 3. You know, and you could have Sweden maybe get in because there is a lot of Swedish players on there and such. A lot of the sons, like anybody you say Samuelsson and Alfredson and stuff like that, they're all Swedish players. But the name itself, like there's a lot of Inuits, like Eskimo names, you know, because these players are playing up in Montana, in northern Minnesota, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and such like that. So they have these like Inuit names, and that's why like Hellebuck is from Lowell, Massachusetts.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but also was like transplant there from like northern Nova Scotia area.
Well, the thing
So
with
it's-
Hellebuck, too, is he never played competitive hockey until high school. I don't know if you guys caught that yesterday on the broadcast because he had an older brother that was also really good at hockey. And his family couldn't afford to send Connor and his brother to all these travel teams at the same time. So Connor's older brother was the one that did all the travel team hockey as a kid. Connor Hellebuck did not start playing competitive hockey until he was in high school, and then he ended up signing with Massachusetts.
You know what's interesting to me is, you know, I know like football, baseball, basketball, they're starting to kind of become international known a little bit better now. It always seems like soccer is the biggest sport, right? Because it just seems like it's globally. And it seems like when I see hockey, it seems like hockey seems to be very much globally. And I'm really surprised that hockey doesn't have more of a financial imprint in the industry than the other sports do.
Because you can't play it everywhere here.
I mean,
yeah, like it's the hardest part about playing hockey is where you live.
Yeah.
And let's go further south. In Mexico, you're never going to see Mexico have a good hockey team because they're not going to play hockey. They're playing soccer. So that's really there's a line where, like, if you go to Europe, there's all of the European teams that are hockey, and then the rest of the European teams are soccer. And there's that dividing line. You don't see Sweden have a good soccer team because it's too cold. They're playing hockey. You know what I mean? So, and that's kind of the same thing. Like Norway winning all those cross country medals and all the running on skis.
That's how
like
that's how they get to work in Norway this time of year. They don't take cars; they cross country.
Right, and it's like they were sweeping some of these events. Yeah. Like the last, I watched the closing ceremonies, and the last medals they gave out were all Norway.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Going into this Olympics before it ever started, was Norway your heavy medal favorite?
They always are.
Before it started, were they like the heavy favorites in this?
They always are for the Winter Olympics.
Yeah,
they're always heavy favorites for Winter Olympics.
Okay.
Yeah, they do well in winter sports.
They can ski pretty much year round in Norway because of the mountains.
And it's justified because anytime somebody's starting a war, they have a hard time being accepted into the Olympics.
And they're not going to be accepted back until Putin is gone or until.
But I'll tell you this. You know what's weird about that though is if you really think about it. And again, I don't like bringing up ugly history, but when Hitler was in power, they had the German Olympics.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, which is weird because that was one of the biggest wars out there, you know? But I don't know if at that time period, maybe they weren't as consciously aware.
Well, you also, before Hitler started his crusade,
exactly,
that's when they had the Olympics.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so it was like 1936.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, that's when Jesse Owens got gold, correct? During that time period?
I think so.
But yeah, that was before everything started. In this case, Russia had already invaded another country, and so that's why it's different. But
Russia also was being banned for PEDs and things like that. They were cheating for a long time.
Yeah. They're not helping their cause.
Exactly. And this is just to make sure that people score. Going 3-on-3 instead of 5-on-5. You know,
I was going to ask you about that. Is that's an overtime thing? I'm assuming.
That's only regular season, though. That's only regular season and international play. When you actually get to the Stanley Cup playoffs, then it goes to 5-on-5 overtime. But for regular season NHL hockey, and then for like the Four Nations tournament that you do in place of the All-Star game now, or like any international tournament, it's 3-on-3.
If they played 5-on-5 hockey, I mean, it's possible they could have scored a goal very quickly, but it's likely they could still be playing.
No, that's my point. Is they're trying to avoid, 2, 3, 4 overtimes because people can't get it done. Whereas 3-on-3, you have more ice, you can play faster. The angles are a little bit better to score.
I mean, look at the Stanley Cup playoffs last year. There was, I think, 3 or 4 games that went at least 3 overtimes because it's back to 5-on-5 hockey in overtime. And by the time you get to 5-on-5, everyone's gassed that it's hard to get like those 3-on-3 rushes that you would typically get.
And
Rob,
they forget that it was in 2010. They played 4-on-4. They didn't play 3-on-3. They was 4-on-4 hockey when Canada won that game.
Yep.
So I don't want to hear about we take everybody off the ice. Well, Canada won it in 2010 with 4-on-4. So you had guys off the ice. If we played 5-on-5, maybe they wouldn't have scored.
Right.
and Rob, this is the difference here is you may think Trump is dumb, but he hasn't invaded another country yet.
Yeah.
If that happens, I bet we don't participate in the Olympics either.
I bet we don't get the World Cup either in a couple of years if that happens. Because I bet FIFA would pull the plug and be like, Canada and Mexico can have it, but you ain't having it.
Well, he'd be invading Canada, so they wouldn't get it either.
I'm just waiting for them to become the 51st state. That way I can go up there and pay or not have to worry about going across borders. You can just drive up there.
Well, it wouldn't be the 51st. It would be like 6 states in total.
Yeah. Probably. But let me ask you this: I've never been. When you go into Canada, I know is it open border or do you have to show a passport if I want to go?
Oh no, you need passports and everything now. And
okay.
If you've ever had a type of they go do a quick search of you.
If you have any felonies, you can't cross the border.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you have a DUI, you can't cross.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I was just curious. How that worked.
It might even.
I want to go to Canada at some point.
It's the same rules as if you want to. I mean, it's actually easier to get into Mexico, but to cross any borders now, you have to have your passport. Really, after 9/11.
So how does that work then? If you're flying into Canada, you're not allowed to fly if you have a felony then either.
They stop the plane in midair and you show your passport.
You can't enter. Yeah, they will stop you at the airport and put
so.
You back
and I'll there are. Listen, they do a quick search. If you come up on a quick search, then they're not going to let you in. It's not like they're investigating. Like I've been to Canada. I have. Some touchy things that I've not done. I've not tried to get into Canada in a little while, but I also am, like I said, I'm not racing to get up in there.
Right.
Dustin, it's like anything else. It's like anything else in life. You always go through customs and immigration prior to and leaving. You always go through customs and they're going to run your passport. And like you said, you're in all these different Interpols and they're going to cross-check you and they're going to find you. That's why the whole point of passports is.
Yeah, and the thing is it is a quick check, so you may be able to get in, but there's a good chance you don't. And so if you're driving, they'll just turn you around. If you're on a plane, they would stop you at the airport, put you back on a plane to go home.
And have a nice day. No,
you actually are in the holding cell until they can get you out of there.
Yep.
There was another skater that I thought really, really was amazing, and I know I'm gonna say his name, Melanin. Am I saying his name right? Melanin or Melanin, you know the one I'm talking about, the American skater?
Ilya.
Thank you. That guy's performance, I just saw it on Facebook, but that last performance he did where he was kind of like in street clothes with the hoodie, that performance was awesome. And I don't really get into figure skating, but like it was just so amazing. And I think
we know you're not watching other sports, so it must be figure skating.
Hey. There's nothing wrong with that, Bo. God, you're so get woke, Bo. Get woke.
I'm just saying, don't lie about it. That's all.
That's true.
I will say this. I will say this. I don't know. Like I watched the closing ceremonies, and they showed 2 United States Olympic people, and there's the one guy there who obviously, listen, I don't care like how you want to live your life, and I don't care whatever. The dress he was wearing, like come on. Like, listen, I don't need to see that. Like, he was wearing this outlandish dress that I guess would have looked very classy if you were in some type of runway, like walk runway. But it was just so like, really, this is what you're putting on? Like, I was really unhappy with that. Whatever. I get it. I listen. I don't care who you want to be with, how you want to live your life. God bless. But
Well, the show
you gotta have
for showing up.
but you gotta have a little bit of. There are other people watching, and that was just like it was just like way over the top messy. You know what I mean? It's just something like that's ridiculous. You got the girl who's dressed very, very demure, very plain. You have the guy and then he's like this. It's like I can't stand people that are trying to be peacocks, and in a room full of like doves, you got one guy trying to be a peacock. You know what I mean? And that's I don't really go for that type of stuff.
But if you do hot yoga, that dress could be very ventilating in hot yoga. And if you want to bet on hot yoga, Bo, cue the message.
There's something wrong with you, but sure, you can bet alongside us right here. Bet on whether or not Jay gets canceled in life in general. Use the QR code on the screen, up to 125% first 3 deposits. And of course, if you wanted to do some hot yoga, you can do it here at True Fusion Gym. Free 5-day pass, any of the 3 locations: Bellevue, Ballard, University Village. Use that QR code on the screen. Find your edge. True Fusion.
What a time to be alive. Hey, real quick. Going to football just for a minute. I was talking with Bo the other day about this, Pags and Dustin, and this is something that really bothers me. The Tennessee Titans obviously took the Oilers' name. They took the Oilers color schemes. Everything went with them to Tennessee. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then, U of H tries to, kind of bring back some Love You Blue, a little bit of Houston history. And of course, Tennessee says, well, you can't do that. We own those color schemes, this, that, and the other. I don't understand why now they are wanting to have Houston's legacy so bad in Tennessee. Like, I feel like when they're going to become the Titans, it should be everything Tennessee based. There should be no affiliation whatsoever with Houston because that should be their identity. Our identity was Love You Blue. And I know the Adams family, specifically Bud Adams, got very, very butthurt that they didn't want to build the stadium when he wanted the stadium built. So he left and went to Tennessee. That's fine. Hey, we all do what we got to do. Business is business. But why couldn't he have a little class and do like Art Modell and take your team somewhere else, become your own franchise, and then leave the name behind like they did with Cleveland? I thought that was very classy on Art Modell's behalf. And I wish Bud Adams,
so that you can, I don't want to interrupt you here, but
no, you're good. You're good.
Cleveland sued Art Modell for the name rights.
Okay. Maybe Houston should have done that then.
They could have, but they didn't want to spend the money on that either.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, listen, if you want to go. We ain't interested in you anymore. Like, that's kind of how it was. So that owner, right, is like, now he's just kind of shoving it in their face a little bit.
Right.
But
have you seen the new? I don't know. Have you guys seen the new Titans uniform that they're going to be unveiling? Or I guess they've already unveiled it. They're going to be debuting. I mean, it's straight up the Oilers. The only thing that's missing, or the only thing they did, was they took the Oilers uniform, took out the oil derrick, and put in the T, and that's the difference. That's the only difference.
Well, and they got rid of the flames too, so it's just going to be.
You're right. They made it a circle. But I mean, that's literally the only. And I don't know, Bo and Pags and Dustin. I don't know how you guys feel about your teams. I mean, not that Houston's my team. I mean, it is my team, but Dallas is my team. Obviously. But for the city of Houston, I just feel like if I was in Tennessee and I saw them doing what they do, and I knew the history of that franchise, that would kind of piss me off a little bit.
So
that would irritate me.
I mean, honestly, it's not gonna make them any more mad than when they wore their throwbacks against the Texans.
Like, exactly, you're right, Bo.
There was ever a time that Houston fans were going to be mad, it would be when the Titans wore the Oiler jerseys against the Texans. Like, that's when you're like, really? Like, this is your throwback week? Wait, what are we doing? But I mean, if they're stealing the colors, I mean, you already know what's up if you're a Houston fan. So you're just like, okay, yeah, this is par for the course at this point. But I would have been mad that first time they wore their throwbacks against the team they moved out of there.
It does, because that's almost like, bro, that's like insult to injury.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Pags, could you imagine that this would never happen because your team is too established? But I'm just saying a hypothetical. If the Eagles went and moved to, I don't know, Tucson, Arizona, and
like they were going to,
yeah, and then
they tried.
Yeah, so maybe they become the Tucson Toucans, but they wear the Eagles. I'm sorry, that's the only thing I can think of. TT. Let's say they became the Tucson Toucans.
You could have said vultures. You could have said vultures, but you came up with two.
You got a problem with the toucan? Look, there's a whole toucan community out there that loves Fruit Loops, but that's besides the point.
Well, there's definitely a Fruit Loop on the panel.
Let's say they became the Tucson Toucans, and they had all Eagles colors. And like, I can only imagine. I bet you would be so livid if that was to ever happen. Right?
I mean,
am I right or wrong?
They almost did it to the Seahawks. They were almost in LA.
Yeah.
Ken Behring bought the team, tried to move them in the middle of the night, loaded everything up in semis and drove it literally through the night to take them down there. They ran some practices down there before the NFL was like, no, they're not moving.
Right.
Get them back up to Seattle.
Let's see how that would play out. Go watch the Tucson Toucans.
Yeah. The funny thing is what Jay's saying about the Houston Oilers.
Can you see that?
The funny thing is with like what Jay's seen with the Houston Oilers and like their colors and logo or anything, like they've done so much to kind of keep that history away from like the Titans and all this stuff and the Houston Texans. But yet when the XFL came back, they gave Houston Roughnecks the Houston Oilers logo. But yet they just changed the colors on it. So it's not like that logo is so sacred that a team can't use it. They just don't, for whatever reason, want the Titans and the Oilers to be associated with each other. At all. Like if they would have had the old Derrick, if they would have had the old Derrick in that color scheme of Loya Blue, there would have been major controversy. Yeah, the Houston Roughnecks can have that logo for 3 years before they just switched over to the Texas State flag as their helmet now.
Well, yeah, but I think they had to pay to use the logo is the thing.
I'm sure they did. And I would have been okay with that. If Bud Adams was a real businessman, he could have just simply sold that to them and said, look, I'm going to keep a royalty percentage off merchandise or whatever. That's a sort. Just give me a royalty off of that and you can have the name and whatever, blah, blah, blah. That would have even been okay. I'd be like, I ain't mad at that because, look, if business is business. But just to take the team away or take all that stuff with you, I don't know. It was just really ridiculous. I was upset about that. But it is what it is.
So to jump in on a couple of Rob's questions here, JSN's going to get that contract. Seattle will pay a receiver. They don't like paying running backs, but they will pay a receiver. So I fully expect JSN to get that contract here.
Do you think that they do it quickly so that he gets the highest paid for at least a day? Or is it, like you got to do that quick or else, the longer you wait, the higher those numbers are going to go. And it's going to be harder to make him the number one guy. He's got to be the number one guy for a minute, at least.
Let's put it this way.
I don't think they're going to take the Dallas route where they wait.
I was about to say, don't do Dallas. Yeah, don't do Dallas. If you do Dallas route, that'd be crazy. I think you're better off financially to do it now, Bo, like you said, to make it easier on you. So you're not competing against somebody else at a higher range.
Well, not only that, but you have, the salary cap jumping up. It's a contract that you're going to do, right? There's no reason to, kick around the idea. Like, you're going to pay the guy.
Right.
So, I mean, all he's done is get better every single year of his career so far.
So what do you think that means for Kenneth Walker then? Do you think Kenneth Walker's back?
Oh, he's gone.
No,
he's gone.
Yeah. No, and that has everything to do with just the way Seattle generally operates. They don't really overpay or really even get running backs into their next contract most of the time. Because they end up with injuries at the running back position so much, until this year, they didn't have their starting running back not land on IR since 2014.
Let me ask you this, based on that though. So based on that, I gotta imagine based on that principle like you're talking about, which Seattle's in a great position because Charbonnet allows them to be in that position, right?
Well, so keep in mind though, they drafted Walker in the second round, and then the next year they drafted Charbonnet in the second round. So it's not like they are opposed to just moving on. I mean,
No,
Walker
right.
had a good rookie campaign, and they were still like, I don't know, we kind of like the Charbonnet kid.
But that's what I'm saying. But I think because you have Charbonnet, it keeps you competitive at the running back position and allows you to move on from Walker and maybe find your next running back in the draft or maybe somebody in free agents, because you're going to have to tie up somebody with a decent value. They have to be elite. Like Walker was really elite kind of at that position with them, but they just have to be a good serviceable one just to kind of give Charbonnet a break. So you don't have to rely solely on him.
Charbonnet is not even going to be available until halfway through the season anyway. So, Helani did play well when he got his touches. So, I mean, he's going to be fine there. And then I wouldn't be surprised if they go take a flyer on a Breece Hall, something like that.
That's the one that I think is the perfect fit for Seattle's Breece Hall.
Because he's not going to have to be the number one back, right? So his injury history is less of an issue. You're going to get him for way less than what you would for Kenneth Walker. He just won Super Bowl MVP. Someone's going to give him $10 to $12 million.
Yeah. What about Rico Dowdle?
That could work too.
I think Rico Dowdle would be better than Hall only because of the injury history with Hall. I think you have better availability with Rico Dowdle. And if you give Rico a good offensive line, Rico has shown you that he can do good things. Look what he did against Dallas for like 200 yards, I think he put on Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, Breece Hall, if you ever gave him an offensive line, would be fine too. I think the biggest thing is even if you have a guy that has been a little bit injury prone, you don't have a bell cow back here, right? What you have is a running back by committee. And so even if you're a guy,
a good running back by committee, you've had a good committee there, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even like we've had a good committee here for a long time, and I forget, it was like 2018 or 19. We ended up with all three of our running backs on IR. So I mean, you never know what's going to happen.
That was when you had Carson and Travis Homer in them, right? Where Carson started, got hurt, and then Homer came in and got hurt, and then whoever you had after that.
Yeah, we had Rashad Penny.
Yeah,
like 4 minutes.
Why do you feel like you guys have such an injury problem at running back position? Is it the usage or is it the conditioning?
None of that.
What do you think is the common theme though? With
injuries,
it was a bottom three offensive line. So instead of you taking on a linebacker head up, you're taking on a 6'5" Samoan defensive end.
That's hitting you behind the line of scrimmage, and you're trying to fight just to get 2 yards.
Exactly. That's how you get hurt. Like if your offensive line is doing their job and your first hit is a linebacker that you guys are the same weight, that hit hurts a lot less than you going up against a guy that has 100 pounds on you.
So let me ask you this. Paul Allen has been a really good owner for you guys. I mean, he's got 2 Super Bowls. You guys are doing great financially. Your cap, everything looks really nice. I don't know if there's been any speculation on who the new ownership group, or if there's anybody out there that are leading the charge in buying the Seahawks. But do you think that is going to change? Maybe the way they spend money and things like that. Are you worried about any of that, or?
Yeah, I mean, of course you're worried. Anytime you have a franchise that is successful. Right. And it was wildly successful under Paul Allen's, when he was alive. And of course, with his group, it's been incredibly successful. So yeah, of course you're worried that the new one's going to come in and mess it up. I know that there's been a lot of talk about Steve Ballmer coming in and potentially being an owner. And he was talking about potentially having Sherm and Beast Mode come in as like small minority owners, more than anything, just for PR, right? Like that's a
good move. That would be a really good move.
Well, and they're both involved, is ownership in other sports around the Northwest anyway. Right. So I mean, like Marshawn Lynch is a partial owner in the Kraken and our rugby team, the Seawolves. So, I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of for him to be, involved in some way.
Yeah, I know Marshawn, and I've seen a couple of his things. He does do a lot of investing. So, and he does have a huge tie and following, I'm sure, still in Seattle for what he did there. So that would be would be a good PR move on their point, though.
They're here all the time anyway.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Those guys come back to Seattle constantly. Sherm and Chancellor own a restaurant in Bellevue.
Okay.
So, I mean, like they're around Seattle all the time anyway. Bobby Wagner just bought into the Storm.
Right.
So, I mean, like those guys are around all the time. So, yeah. I don't think I don't think Bezos is a real candidate. Just like I don't think Elon is a real candidate, because the other owners also have to allow you in. So, that's a little element that people forget. You can't just walk up with a stack of cash and be like, I'm the owner here now. Like, the other owners have to be like, yeah, we have to deal with you a lot. We're okay with you being here, or they can block it. So
go get Mark Cuban to buy your team. Mark Cuban wants to invest in another sports team besides.
I think Mark Cuban would be really, really good. He has a really good business mind, and he's very, very involved in the industry, but not to the point where Jerry Jones is, but he's still involved,
Well, the big thing for Cuban is he wants to win.
That's the thing. Like Jay said, like Jerry Jones wants to win, but he also wants control of everything. And when you have control of everything, you make it hard to win. Like Mark Cuban wants to win, but he also lets his people do their jobs. Like if he's got a GM, he lets his GM do the job. If he's got a president, he lets the president do his job. And he just kind of sits back and he's like, well, if we're winning, I'm not going to say crap. But if we start losing, I'm going to fire people because now you're not doing your job.
Well, let's be honest. If Mark Cuban was still the owner of the Mavericks, you would not have seen that Luka Doncic trade. That would have never happened.
That's why he wants to get back with Dallas, because he's like, okay, I lay for a year and a half, and you tear this franchise down to shambles. I want to come back.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, as the owner, that's what should happen: is you get the people that know the sport in place, and then when they're successful, you keep your hands out of it. And then when they're not, it's your job to go fire people and find people that can bring it back to where it's supposed to be. Like, that's how it's supposed to work. Whereas Jerry Jones is like, I need every camera on me all the time.
Like literally, he is really his own worst enemy. Jerry is, because of that fact. I'm hoping, I don't know, but I'm hoping that Stephen Jones, when he does at some point inherit the team, that maybe he'll take a different approach than what his father did. And maybe he'll hire a GM, and because he knows football, but he'll hire more competent people to take that franchise in the direction it should go.
Maybe he'll go the bus route and sell the team.
I'm okay with that too. Matter of fact, I'd probably do a dance down my street if he did that.
or maybe Stephen Jones dies before Jerry Jones, and Jerry Jones still owns the team.
You know what? I don't like you.
Oh, man.
Please stop talking. Please don't ever say that again.
On me, Ricky Bobby. Oh, man.
Let me ask you, Pags, how do you feel about your team right now, the Eagles? I mean, you guys came off that championship year. You don't get the pennant, or you don't get the title. I know I said pennant. I apologize. You didn't get the title. But how do you like the state of your team and the direction it's going now?
The Eagles?
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see. Like, there's going to be a lot of stuff that happens between now and the draft, and we're going to see if Crosby becomes an Eagle, and if where those certain things are going to land. Right now, I like the fact that they're quiet. That I'm not hearing anything. That means that the wheels are working. And when I hear a lot of rumors, that none of them are true anyways.
Yeah.
So it's especially when it comes to Howie and such, the fact that I'm not hearing anything at all is even better. I still think we're going to have one of the best defenses in the league. I think that we still have a lot of different strengths on the offense. The fact that all the offensive linemen are coming back is worth it. I know that he's going to replenish those coffers here in the draft and probably in free agency.
Right.
And we'll see. But ultimately, it's like the one thing that I like best is that I am glad that Nick didn't make the choice for the offensive coordinator, because when the Eagles choose their coaches, they seem to do really well. When they don't, and they leave it up to the head coach to make those decisions on his friends, then they don't play very well. So I like the fact that, again, we could be in the same situation where this coach is one and done, because ultimately, if he shows this offense really well, he's on such a trajectory, that he went from backup quarterback to quarterback's coach to offensive coordinator to head coach wouldn't be so ridiculous in like a 5-year span. It'd be very similar to the way that McVay did it. Like where he's like the golden child that immediately it's like bam, bam, bam. So I am okay with not talking a lot about what's happening. Like I see, you got this guy wants to make this, and the only news that came out of Philadelphia is that the offensive linemen are staying, which
is interesting because that was really the point I was wanting you to talk on, was how you felt about your offense. Fangio, your defense, you're good there. But that offense is really, I think that was your Achilles heel a little bit there. And you could probably put on the offensive coordinator, Petula, you can maybe Sirianni, whatever, however you want to skin that cat. But now that you've said that you like the fact that the Eagles took the coach and not Sirianni, that's kind of what I was curious about. And one more question on your offense. What do you see with A.J. Brown? Is he going to stay, or do you think they may move on from him? How do you feel about A.J.?
I think he stays, actually. I've always thought he stayed. Like, the one thing, like, beyond all the talking, the one thing that I love about A.J. Brown is that ultimately he wants to win. Yes, he wants to get the ball. He wants to contribute in the wins. Right. And I get it, and sometimes it's hard to determine what the reading between his lines are, and that's tough to do. But he's a great player, you know what I mean? And ultimately, I think that he wants to win. And you don't just pick up and get rid of those guys. You got to keep them, and you got to deal with some of the crap that comes with it. They carry big bags. Big bags. I mean, I've got one that I carry myself. It's like my height. You know what I mean? That carry my shoulder pads and stuff like that. You got lots of luggage. And sometimes that luggage shows through. But I think that short of them making some blockbuster deal that they get not just like a player, but also a pick or whatever and some things. The biggest rumor I've heard recently about that is that Cleveland is offering the 23rd pick, which is Jacksonville's. They have Jacksonville's pick straight up for A.J. Brown. And that would give the Eagles the 23rd and the 24th pick in the first round.
Nice.
Now, is that possible? There is a wide receiver that is slated to go somewhere in that neighborhood. Does that mean he's going to be there when it happens? I don't know that, but he's like, again, he's like this receiver. I don't know the guy's name, but he's like 6'4", 205 pounds. Like, he's like a big body.
Maybe Surratt. Would Surratt be a good?
You're probably thinking Casey Conception.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be somewhere in that neighborhood of in the 20 to 25 range. Right.
You have Denzel Boston or Casey Conception. They're both supposed to be kind of gone in that 22 to 26 range. Denzel Boston went to Washington, and then Casey Conception's with Texas A&M.
Right, and they're both like bigger guys. You know what I mean? So one's a little faster than the other, from what I understand.
Conception's a return specialist.
So my thing is, so you guys Lane Johnson is going to be staying. He's not retiring. Lane Johnson's going to be staying in your O-line. Do you see, obviously, you probably could, if you got the 23rd, 24th pick, if that was a route you guys decided to go, you could probably address a wide receiver issue there. And then you could also address do you think you address all the offensive line as well? And just kind of give maybe a little bit more depth to that line?
Yeah, 100%. Like, so first off, we don't typically, I am not a fan of them choosing wide receivers in the first round. So, every time that they do that, short of Devontae Smith, who they traded for to be able to do that with Dallas, actually, to be able to screw the Giants, Devontae Smith has worked out. Every other one has not worked out very well for the Eagles. You got Ortega-Whiteside, you had Jalen Reagor, you know what I mean? Like, and of course, things had to happen that way to be able to make sure, because if we had Justin Jefferson instead of Reagor, Would we have won the Super Bowl? I don't know that answer. You know, like sometimes you got to make the mistake to be able to fix the mistake the way that they did. And that's how they got to 2 Super Bowls. Would they have gotten to 2 Super Bowls with Justin Jefferson? I mean, it's possible, but
Sure.
again, it's hard to say. Go back in time to.
I would say
go
probably
forward.
not. I would say probably not, because let's just say they draft Justin Jefferson and he plays anywhere close to what he's done with Minnesota. He's going to want that massive deal, and giving him that massive deal hurts your cap versus getting AJ Brown. You got him on a much cheaper deal when you got him,
Right.
because he wasn't at the AJ Brown that he is now. So like they made the mistake by not getting Jefferson. They made the mistake.
They made him the highest paid wide receiver at the time.
Well, it was only $25 million a year, though. It's not like the 36, 37
Yeah,
million that he's getting.
no,
now.
no, but the cap was way lower then. So
Yeah.
I mean, like, you got to keep that in mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
these prices keep going up, but so does the cap.
Yeah.
So I mean, it directly mirrors that.
And here's what's going to happen: there is going to be a down year coming soon. Like it's like all of this cap goes up, cap goes up, cap goes up, cap goes up. There's going to be a cap goes down, and it's going to happen probably within the next 3 years.
I mean,
where
it did for the COVID year, right?
Yeah.
It
Correct.
took a massive dip. So I mean, teams had to make all kinds of decisions because they're like, oh well, I mean, I guess,
Let me ask you, Pags, let me ask you this too. This is something I've been wondering about because Jalen Hurts, that's a hometown boy. Like he comes from my neighborhood, so I really, I even though I'm not an Eagles fan, I do like Jalen Hurts because he's from my neck of the woods. My question to you is, is there anything about Jalen's game? Because Jalen has taken some criticisms with leadership and things like that. Is there anything about Jalen Hurts' game that you would like to see him get better at? To try to get back to that next level. I mean, the Super Bowl.
So with Jalen Hurts, what I hear about him in general, and I am a Jalen Hurts fan. Like I am for him playing well and stuff like that. I think that he is the guy. That being said, he has gone a little bit of the way that you hear a little bit about Aaron Rodgers when he was with Green Bay, and you hear about certain quarterbacks having this air about them that don't make them the best team player.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think that there is something to be said for that there are levels of greatness that happen that, like, I think Tom Brady went through some of this as well, except Tom Brady would yell and scream and carry on with the Patriots. Hold
on. I got to address this, Robert, because Robert's done. He done talked to me about twice now. I just want to say this, Robert. You got to understand one thing about war: you keep your friends close, and you keep your enemies closer. And the more information I find out about them, it's all about feeding back into the system. Robert, you don't understand this. Pags, you do because you're a military guy. I studied strategy when I was in the military, and this is just a strategic thing. That's all this is. And it also makes some good content. Let's keep going. Pags, I apologize. Robert was being rude, Pags. I apologize.
Well,
Yeah,
since you brought up like the whole AJ Brown, that possible first round trade that the kind of Browns are floating out there, there is another trade that is being heavily discussed right now, and I think the more it's discussed, the more likely it's going to be to happen, and that looks like Max Crosby going to the Bears, and the Bears are willing to give up DJ Moore and the 2nd and 3rd round pick to get Max Crosby.
I mean, and the Raiders might do that.
Like, gives the Raiders a good receiver in DJ Moore, who's got 2 years left of his contract that he signed with Chicago. You pick up an additional 2nd and 3rd round pick, and then the 2nd round pick, I believe, is the Carolina pick, so it's going to be a halfway decent 2nd round pick, and then Max Crosby is going to obviously add to the Bears pass rush, which is something they haven't had for like 3 years. So now you pair him with Montez Sweat.
Well, and if they can get an extra couple picks, I mean, they already have 8. They have 2 potential comp picks, and then you add whatever you get out of that deal. I mean, there is a lot of trench players in this draft.
Yeah.
So You know, if they were thinking, hey, we're going to move on from Crosby, get a Hall, they get a receiver, which they do definitely need. That actually wouldn't be a terrible move for them.
It'd be like Khalil Mack 2.0.
I was really kind of hoping Dallas would package our 2 picks, the 12th and the 20th pick, and maybe get a Max Crosby, or maybe even try to get up into the top 7, someone that top 7 with those 2 picks, and try to get Bain out of Miami. I mean, because we definitely need it. We need a pass rush. We need a pass rush like yesterday. And that's the one thing that we didn't have last year was a pass rush.
And with Scott's comment right there, too, it's not that they're banking too heavily on Luther Burden. Luther Burden's still on a rookie deal. Rome Odunze's still on a rookie deal. So both your number 1 receivers that you would have if you lose DJ Moore next year are both on rookie deals. Chicago wants to make a run for Mike Evans if Mike Evans is actually available in free agency.
I mean, he's supposed to be.
Yeah, so, I mean, you lose DJ Moore, you can get a guy like Mike Evans who, apart from this year, this was the first time he has not hit 1,000 yards in his career. That's because he missed 10 games with an injury. But you bring Mike Evans into that fold. You have Mike Evans, you have Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet. Like, your receiving room is not only set, but apart from Mike Evans, none of those guys are making more than $7 million. So you're still going to give yourself a lot more financial flexibility because Mike Evans is not going to get a $20 million a year contract. He'll probably get like a 1 year, 1 year, $14 million deal.
Yeah, probably.
And then you can figure out what you're going to do after that. But that's not a bad replacement. Like if you're going to lose DJ Moore, getting a guy like Mike Evans, who you know is going to give you 1,000 yards when healthy, that's not a bad swap right there for the Bears if you can get Max Crosby with it.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears take a swing at Tyreek too, because you're going to get him for nothing also.
Yeah, and then you get Max Crosby with it. Like that's 2 instant upgrades on both sides of the ball.
Let me put something else out there in the universe. Let me put out one thing out there in the universe. What if Tyreek Hill, he wants to go back with the Chiefs to a certain degree. I think he has buyer remorse leaving the Chiefs, honestly. But what if he went to the Chiefs since Rashee Rice is having some issues right now legally? And what if they brought in Kenneth Walker because they've also had problems with the run game in Pacheco and in Hunt? Could you imagine if they brought in Tyreek Hill and brought in Walker, and how would that shape the offense?
It wouldn't matter because they're going to be without Mahomes for most of the year.
Yeah.
True that. But I'm saying going forward, because there's points up where they'll get him back.
Well, no, but like you're talking about guys that are probably signing 1 year prove-it deals, and there's not a lot of incentive to want to go to a Chiefs team that doesn't have their quarterback, doesn't really look like they have a lot of things figured out yet. So,
I will say this. You're right. Tyreek Hill is on a prove-it deal, but Walker is not on a prove-it deal. He is a solidified guy.
Sure.
And I think with Bieniemy being there, I think that brings back the old Chiefs offense. And could that reinvigorate Travis Kelce, even though Taylor Swift effect, we all know Taylor Swift effect on Travis. No, it really is. That guy, since Taylor Swift has gotten into his life, he has his.
I like that you're just randomly rolling people under the bus as we go.
No, watch this. When before Taylor Swift ever got into Travis Kelce's life, that dude was all about calling people jabronis. There was a swag, there was a meanness, there was an aggressiveness. Now he's just prima donna, 1970s swag going down the runway. Come on, Travis, get back to where you used to be.
I think the podcast has had something to do with that, though, because now Travis Kelce is getting to that point where when he knows he's almost done playing football. And now he's gotten to that point where once he's done playing football, the podcast is what he's going to do. He's seen the kind of money he can make on that. Like
he's going to do TV.
He knows he's already planning his life for after football and all. So now he doesn't have to play with that edge that he once had because he's like, I have my plan figured out when I'm done playing. Like, this is what I'm going to do. So now it's going to be like.
I think the Mahomes injury is what makes it so that he retires. Because if Mahomes wasn't hurt, he probably comes back to try and get that all-time record.
Yes.
Not what I heard. The rumor is that Travis Kelce to the New York Giants for 1, maybe 2 years.
That would be interesting.
The Jackson Dart and Neighbors. Oh my God!
Jackson Dart, Neighbors, Scattaboo.
And you know how they have that high energy,
and that's where she lives. She lives in New York, so it would make things a lot easier.
They'd be right there.
Wouldn't surprise me.
God. She's gonna have to get a Giants jersey now.
Yeah, and that's true. They would likely go get Love instead of Walker. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then to answer your question about Marvin Harrison there, Scott, he hasn't worked out, but that hasn't been largely because of Marvin Harrison Jr.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah, like the quarterback play has been suspect. When Brissett was in there, he was getting involved way more.
Yeah.
And you had Kyler Murray say that it wasn't his job to get Marvin Harrison the ball. Now, I know it's not his job to force feed him, but I'm pretty sure it's a quarterback's job to deliver the ball to your receivers.
Right.
And for him to not get targets at all is a problem when you're talking about one of the fastest guys.
And didn't his name come up in a rumor with the trade with the Jets, Kyler Murray?
His name,
It seemed like I saw his name in the
his
Jets.
name's been with the Vikings. It's been with the Jets. It's been with
But more recently, I've seen him linked to the Jets, like as a possible real thing.
It is basically those are coming out from like Cardinal people. Like it's wishful thinking is what it is. Nobody's taking on his contract with how little he's actually produced.
Right.
Everyone's going to look at that and be like, yeah, I'll wait till you're a free agent and I'll give you $1 million base and we'll see if you can figure out how to play football again. But everything you've seen on tape, you're like, yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'll get.
And what's going on with Justin Fields though? With the Jets, is Justin Fields just kind of fading out into the sunset at this point in his career?
He's a backup moving forward if he stays in the league.
Yeah. Right.
That being said, that does get us to the top of the hour. If you've been watching along with us, be sure to like and subscribe. Otherwise, we'll get out of here. We'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace.
We talk.